We going live.
We're live. All right, guys.
Yo,
So
what's
today's podcast topic, and for the next month, the podcast topic is going to be ancient Egypt.
Ooh.
Because we just wanted it to be a little more structured in what we're talking about. Plus, Justin and I love Egypt. So, fun fact, if you didn't know that about your trainers, Justin and I are obsessed with ancient Egypt. We have lots of ancient Egypt stuff at our house. We've watched probably every documentary there is out there to know. And so we want to kind of talk about different things about Egypt.
Yeah. So we like Egypt just because it's kind of so mysterious, and there's still a lot of things that are unfound. Like they don't even know where Cleopatra is. Correct?
Well, there's so many different like conflicting theories, and archaeologists are just they all, argue if they didn't find it, then is it really real? And that's something that we've actually been finding out. We've been watching this really cool documentary on YouTube. He's a naked archaeologist, and it's not necessarily he's doing a lot of
he's not
Egyptian.
Naked.
He's not naked. He's not doing a lot of Egyptian archaeology, but it gave us an insight into why maybe this might be a problem for archaeologists finding Egypt stuff, because there's so many different policies and regulations that they have to follow when they are excavating, that they said that just a random human being like that's not an archaeologist has a greater chance of finding the greatest archaeological find because of the fact that we don't have to follow all these regulations and processes and policies and get permits and such. And so it makes you wonder how many art collectors are selling ancient Egypt artifacts on the black market or just on the market in general. And there are things that we're missing in that part of our history that we could probably piece together more information about Egypt if we had these things. So that's something that always crosses my mind when thinking about the fact that we don't know much about this place. It is very mysterious. What do you think, Ollie?
It's interesting.
Oh
I mean,
my God!
That's about it. Listen,
I really like the
words.
pyramids, the three, the three kings, I believe is what they're referred to. I'm pretty sure there's some sort of, alignment with the stars when it comes to those. So whenever it comes to Egypt, I like to think about the possibility of aliens.
Right. Ancient Aliens always talks about Egypt because of the fact that it's so mysterious. And one of the pharaohs that Justin and I really took to was Akhenaten.
Ooh.
And why I liked
money.
Akhenaten was because before Akhenaten came along as a pharaoh, Egypt believed in, their religion was many, many deities. I mean, thousands of deities. And the way it worked at the time was that they had priests, high priests, that you would go to if you wanted. Let's say you were having a marital problem, you were having a financial problem, you'd go to this priest, you would pay them whatever it is that they used for money at the time in exchange for maybe a little, a trinket of your deity, and they would say a prayer over it, or they would do some sort of ritual for you, and now, you would be financially blessed, or hey, your marital problem will go away, with this little bit of payment, right? Maybe it was their own ancient way of tithing. I don't really know what that was at the time, but it was very interesting because there was a lot of corruption going on with that being said, with these priests collecting a lot of money from people and like literally stealing so much money from these people they were barely surviving. So anyways, Akhenaten
Sounds like our
came
government.
Yeah, it does sound like our government. That's why it's so interesting.
The fall
Akhenaten,
of America.
Right. Akhenaten comes in and says, no, I don't want you guys to do this anymore, and demolish all those deities. And he was the first pharaoh that wanted to create monotheism. Monotheism under the belief of one God, and he wanted to worship the sun god. So he made this really big temple for the sun god, I believe
Ra.
it's called Ra, right? Ra.
Yeah.
And so anyways, the interesting thing is that the Egyptians wanted to go back to that corruption. And it's so interesting to me that nothing's really changed with people, right? There will still be people that need to be led, that need to be under some sort of rule, right? And then there will be people that want to take the leap, that wants to make the change, right? So these people that didn't want to make the change after Akhenaten was out of rule, they destroyed any sort of piece of evidence of Akhenaten. And recently, there was a tomb, so there's not much evidence left of him, but there was a tomb that they found hidden in the Sphinx, and it was actually Akhenaten's scribe. And what the scribe, so it was like one of these hieroglyphics that was not destroyed of Akhenaten, had a hieroglyph of Akhenaten holding his hand out like this towards the sun with two tablets that look very, very similar to the two tablets that we know Moses to have on Mount Sinai, right?
I think so, yeah.
in the Bible. And so the hieroglyphics on the tablets that Akhenaten is holding transcribes to, are you ready? The words of God. Weird. And that's where there's so much mysteriousness about ancient Egypt, because we really don't have a clue if they're these people and, you know, people that have translated all this stuff, given us all our history, do they have it really wrong? And I've heard some theories that Akhenaten was possibly Moses, and he did lead the people out of Egypt. Akhenaten led the people out of Egypt into a different city. So who's to say? And it would make a lot of sense. You know, Moses trying to get everybody to worship God, one God, right? Not be under the Egyptian rule. It was just very, very strange. And at the time, the Egyptians, before they went and followed Moses, were following all these deities. So it's very, very interesting to me that they have all this history, but for some reason, they still wanted to be enslaved.
So there are a lot of other correlations that you could have drawn to Akhenaten that would have, like, you know, solidified that theory between him being Moses and Akhenaten just being like the Egyptian form of reference to him. I'm curious, did you ever do any research into, like, you know, his birthplace or like whether or not he was adopted? I'm pretty sure Moses was adopted by the Egyptian pharaohs.
So I want to say that Akhenaten, and I'd have to, because it's been a while since I've actually watched that documentary. I want to say Akhenaten is actually, and again, don't quote me on this because I've watched so much now, it's hard to remember what exactly they said, but I think that Akhenaten's parents were brother and sister. And so he was inbred, I think. So again, don't quote me on
actually,
that. But
no,
that is something
that's
I'd like
super
to
common.
research.
That's super common,
Pretty
actually.
sure that's what
while I was researching Cleopatra, actually, she ended up marrying like two of her brothers. So she married, what's his name?
They all about that incest.
Ptolemy, yeah. Ptolemy, yeah. She married Ptolemy the 13th and Ptolemy the 14th. So she married her older brother, who eventually she went to war with, and then she used Caesar's army in order to, you know, basically overthrow him and reseat herself at the throne of power. And then she married her younger brother, who eventually died of mysterious causes.
Probably because
in
she
Rome,
set it up
while she was with Caesar.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And the even more interesting thing about Cleopatra, if you don't know much about her, is that in the end, she had many lovers, her brothers and others. She's a hoe. So anyways, Cleopatra.
That's a new name. Cleopatra.
We see you, Hotra.
I'm changing history today.
There we go.
Hoes on deck.
Anyways, Cleopatra ended up, after Julius Caesar, ended up going with Mark Antony. And anyways, so when they came in and invaded, I believe it was the Romans, correct? The Romans came in and invaded and killed Mark Antony.
Yeah, so after Caesar was assassinated, I believe Mark Antony was Caesar's cousin. And so she, you know, fell in love with Mark Antony.
Right, and so they ended up killing him, but she ended up having a snake poison vial that she kept and ended up, you know, taking the poison and killed herself before the Romans came and got her. So we were just talking about this and why... What?
Here's something really interesting. I researched that.
Okay,
and it turns out that they have a term to describe that. And she was like the prototype, the first one to actually do this. It was Octavian, I believe, who overthrew them. But
yep, that sounds familiar. Again, it's been a long time.
Yeah, she killed herself as an act of like commitment and love to Mark Antony because they killed themselves together. It's called a romantic femme fatale.
It's like the
like
Romeo
and Juliet.
Exactly. So it was the first romantic femme fatale.
And if you think about it, you know, come on, it's pretty obvious that once the Romans were going to be able to invade and if they thought they were going to be able to catch her, right, they probably would have raped her. And so this is another way to, like, you know, sanctify her body, keep the purification and the love between just her and Mark Antony, and that's where the relationship stops, and nobody really gets control over her body. So essentially, she's the first woman to really say, my body is my own.
Yeah.
And that's pretty big. So she was moving mountains for a lot of women way back then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or they just really loved each other and wanted to die together.
That too. But also, she was very bold, and she was very political. And so one thing I remember hearing about was that all of her relationships all had politics involved. She was very strategic. She was very smart. She did not marry for love every single time. There was always a strategy, right?
I don't think she ever married for love.
She a gold digger.
Yeah.
Well, she may have loved Mark Anthony at the end, but I think that most of her relationships were strategic, and she was constantly playing chess. Trying to figure out her next move.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was pretty interesting because women, we are known to be emotional creatures. And she was already having emotionless sex and having political relationships and teaching women how to play the game at a way different level. Crazy.
Hoes on deck.
Cleopatra.
They all hoes.
Yeah, Cleopatra.
Man.
Well, one thing I really did like about Akhenaten, and this was another thing I told you because, Ollie had asked me why I liked Akhenaten, and this is what I did say. I liked Akhenaten because he was the first pharaoh to really push that the respect of his wife be honored by the rest of the Egyptians. So his wife was also seen as a pharaoh, and so they were seen as equal pharaohs. And I thought that was really important. And that's another correlation to the Bible, right? Is that in the Bible, marriage is it's a sanctity, it's a unification. There's a lot of matrimony around marriage, right? So anyways, I wonder if there is a correlation to that because he was the first to really want the people to respect the woman as pharaoh just as much as they respected him. I don't know.
That's
Small thought. It is very
Perhaps.
interesting. And then it makes me wonder, so after they overthrew him, they destroyed all the evidence of him. Did it go back to the old way of women not being seen as equals? Or did women now going forward have that equality established by Akhenaten? That would be something interesting
I don't know.
to research.
The weird thing I see in all of this is there's fucking aliens on those hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
These things.
That's
Yes.
what I'm thinking.
Look at this.
Yes.
So is it the women and men thing, or is it like the non-human and human thing? Were they treated differently because they were non-human?
And I don't think they really
Some of these
gave a
pharaohs.
fuck. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not equal. We're not the same creature. Like, it's just, there is no equality. We're not truly equal. We never will be. We never have been, in my opinion. I don't think people are meant to be equal, just like I'm not equal to, the kid that was born yesterday.
Yeah.
I could kick that kid and kill him. But
Yeah.
I don't think that it's, like, a matter of issue. I think, like, in reality, it's like these guys were on some trippy shit. I mean, didn't they have like a history of hallucinogenics and like the fucking
Well,
pyramids?
that is
Like,
really
how did you build all
interesting.
that?
So they do have some hieroglyphics of these rose. What did they call those flowers? It was like,
I don't know, but they did have.
there's a specific name
It's
for
that
it, and I will
DMT,
research
doggy.
it for you guys. But there is a flower that is depicted in a lot of their hieroglyphs where they're blowing on the flower, and the pollen is like as strong as heroin. So they were tripping
The
out.
poppy?
It
Is it
wasn't
the
a
poppy?
I don't know
poppy.
what
It
it
was
was.
a different
I
flower.
don't know.
I want to say it started with like blue something. It was something blue.
It was that alien flower
Right.
they got from Mars.
But
they brought
here's
it
a real
down, the star
question.
people.
Who is telling these people to go find this plant? Where are they getting
Yeah.
this information? And that's what gets me every single time is, listen, we can all argue about aliens, right? But we would be narrow-minded and selfish to think that we are the ones that found all this stuff out on our own, right? And I believe in God, but I also believe in, beings that are not from this planet that could actually be on this planet or could have been at one point in time, right? Because there's so many things that just don't make sense. Like, if we didn't have the tools back then, how were these things built? That just does not make any sense to me. We're still
They had
arguing and
tools,
fighting
though.
over how the pyramids were built.
Those blocks, there was I found a fact on them. Like, one of those blocks could weigh up to 80 tons.
Can you imagine carrying
One.
80 tons?
One block. One of these
80
little,
tons.
well, big blocks. But look at all those. There's like millions of blocks in there.
Millions of blocks.
And it's so symmetrical. I think it was off, it was like a couple meters or something, like, to be perfectly made. And they did like all these measurements and shit, and they found that it was like so perfect that they
Right.
could not even do it today if they tried to do that.
They have tried to recreate
And it
them.
was better before it had that limestone all the way down, and you were able to basically the sun would shine on it and glow,
Yeah.
almost like a reflector.
This is the cost of time
Yeah.
and
Right.
corrosion.
So yeah, this is time, and it was probably underwater at one point in time.
Mm-hmm.
And the other interesting
Who
thing
knows?
is, so Justin and I most recently watched a documentary that talked about the fact that, and here you go, mind blown for anybody history buffs out there. I'm sorry to say, but the truth is
Waterline.
that
Yeah.
Pharaoh Khufu did not build the Pyramid of Khufu.
Yeah. Khufu.
Khufu was not built by Khufu.
Kufi.
Kufi. So, anyways, there was a
Which one is Khufu?
I want to say Khufu is the largest one.
What about
the
others?
oldest.
No, that's Giza.
No?
The biggest one is Giza.
Okay, so it's not the biggest. It's the oldest.
Great Pyramid is the Great Pyramid
The Pyramid of Khufu is the oldest pyramid known to man. But so here's the thing. They ended up finding, at the time, there was when we found this pyramid, the archaeologists, wow, I can't speak, ended up having tons and tons of investors, right? So millions of dollars were put on the table for this man to keep excavating and find something that was very important that he did and that he had an answer for it.
Yeah.
For these scholarship, scholars and for these, publications he was going to be putting out, right? And for more investors to dump more money in it. Why would you want to dump money in it if you don't even know what the fuck this pyramid is, where it came from, and why it's there, right? So anyways, there's no value in that.
Yeah, look at that thing.
So
That's
he
why.
ends up
look
saying
at that fucking thing.
that he ended up getting to a shaft that was in the middle of the pyramid and that he found hieroglyphics. He told everybody when he came out of there, mind you, it wasn't a big enough hole for tons of people to go in here and see if this fact was true. But he told everybody that he ended up finding hieroglyphics inside the pyramid in the shaft, what he called the king shaft, that stated it was Khufu's
Take
pyramid.
it how you want, the king shaft.
But yeah, take that how you want, okay? Anyways, so somebody ended up recently finding a new archaeologist, a private diary of that archaeologist, where he stated he never found any hieroglyphics in the middle of the pyramid.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
So there's another cool fact that we found. One of these people that was working in the pyramid, they were sending information to Nikola Tesla.
Tesla, that's right.
And that's when he was creating all those ground fucking units, and he was trying to create free energy for everyone, just like Elon Musk.
They believed that it's possible these pyramids were creating energy for the Egyptians.
He was getting information sent to him straight from the guy that was in the pyramid, like doing all this research and all this crazy shit, and he was able to generate power from the ground, which is insane.
So what is it that we really know about these pyramids? And then we can go even further, right? So, we know that the Vatican has secret archives. Who's to say that the information isn't lost and that the information is actually in these secret archives that the Vatican holds from us? I think that there's so much to be said.
Episode's going to get pulled.
It will. But there's so much to be said for information being withheld from us. And I think that this is something that we need to highly focus on.
Wait, what was the correlation between the Vatican and the pyramids?
That there's so much information that's being held from us. Who's to say that we don't have the information about the pyramids? I mean, there are secret archives that they're not hiding that they have them. They're we have a secret archive. It's bomb-proof.
I've never been in them either. So we only are being told what everyone else is.
Yeah.
We're only being told what's in our quote history books. But again, if we're wrong, we would have to rewrite history. And we've been wrong many times. And they don't always rewrite the history books. Why? There's a lot of mystery that surrounds these pyramids, but we're going to take a lot of time discussing them throughout this next month. We're going to do some more research on some of these things that we talked about. We're going to do some more research on different leaders. I'd like to, really have more research on that pyramid of Khufu for you guys, and I think it's important we talk about Giza as well. But we do want to kind of end this podcast with something fun today. Well, we did put together a little spin wheel, so everybody's going to get a chance at the spin.
Pull the wheel, Ollie.
So, Ollie, pull the wheel up.
We do have 7 minutes left.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
7 minutes of wheel.
Wheelie
wheel.
7
minutes.
Nah, we can do a wheel and then we'll end it.
But I think it's important to draw a correlation between why
Turn
this
the wheel.
mystery and why Egypt is important to people.
Okay.
Yeah,
What's
to our
the
viewers.
correlation?
Why is this important to our viewers?
What is your opinion on that?
I think it's important to have an open mind and always be looking for answers. I think that as long as you can recognize that the only knowledge you truly have is what you've been exposed to, then you can maintain that level of openness, especially whenever it comes to things that are genuinely going to be important and impactful for you. I think that we need to maintain that explorative nature, and we need to maintain that the only truth you can believe in is the truth that you find yourself.
I think that was perfectly said. I really can't say, repeat everything you said except for build off of it. I think that it's important to learn about this stuff, and that's why we're going to pick different topics every month, and it's going to be about ancient, times, ancient people for a little bit. So hang in with us. But if you want to learn new facts, you want to learn history, then, tune in every week with us. But I think it's important because exactly what Ali said, exploration is important, and it's important to not be a part of the herd of the sheeple, to really learn for yourself. Right? Because even with just the story we told about Khufu, many people out there still believe that the pyramid of Khufu was built by Khufu. But only a certain amount of people who have watched the right things know that, hey, there was no actual proof that Khufu built this pyramid. That was a lie. right?
Yeah.
So we need to start to open our eyes, because if we don't open our eyes, we will fall under lies of many other things in this world.
And once you expand your mind, you expand your horizons, you should be able to expand like your level of inspiration. These
And
are
your level of
massive,
intellect.
amazing pyramids.
Yeah.
So like, and then you look into the society, the history. It's like you can draw lines and correlate to how you are today and how you're going to improve your situation, and just see how far we've come. Because so many people get stuck in this like rat race of being like a standard American, keeping up with the Joneses. Like their next biggest adventure is buying a Mercedes as opposed to a Honda.
Yes. I can't tell
There
you
are bigger things.
that's a perfect
bigger things
correlation.
in the world.
I can't tell you how many people their interests and hobbies are shopping or listening to music. Like, go do something out of the box. Go explore and go do something that isn't something you're very comfortable with. But for me, I think that too, also learning the history, because history does repeat itself, and we are in times right now where people feel very uncomfortable. There's a lot of tension, where there's a lot of uncertainty and anxiety. If you want to have an idea of where this world might go, look back to ancient times, look back to biblical times, and you might be able to piece together yourself what you think will happen.
Yeah.
The fall of America.
And with why you think this correlates to people before we do the wheel.
I mean, I think people should just know about the earth that we live on.
Agreed.
That's
The fucking Egypt
true
is part
as
of the
fuck.
earth. It's literally been there forever, at least the pyramids that we know. And I don't even think we know when they're built, because who said they figured out when they were built? I don't believe anybody.
And with these history books changing all the time, will our kids even learn about the pyramids anymore? That's the thing.
I think they will,
Maybe not.
but I think they're
Maybe
only going
not.
to learn what is told.
True.
Who's
Let's
up first?
spin! Me first!
Spin the wheel.
Wheel!
That was a weak spin.
All right.
I think you gotta do that again.
There we go.
Spin to win!
Spinny,
Nothing.
spinny, spinny.
What'd you
Tell something secret about yourself.
Ooh.
Ugh. I don't know.
Undisclosed
I'm really
info.
like an open book, so I'm trying to think about something. Okay, I guess most people don't know this. I really love pickles, and I actually like to drink the pickle juice.
Fucking disgusting.
Yummy, and
If
Justin
anybody
almost
else
gags
has
and throws up
to
every time.
experience this, I'm sorry for you. It's gross.
Fun fact about your trainer and the owner of Abs Fitness:
Ugh.
I love to drink
Gross.
pickle juice. All right, Justin, you're up next.
Disgusting.
What does it say? Spin to win.
Spin, spin, spin.
Ooh,
Oh!
accent improv.
Accent improv.
So
Give
you
us
can
your
involve
backs.
members of the table. You can do whatever you
Yeah,
want.
Oh.
Wait,
You-
so what do I have to do?
An accent improv.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Please
so
don't
you-
do an accent of me.
All right, well, since you brought it up. All my accents are the same. They sound just like a South Park character. And this is the accent I
Oh,
get.
give the Snoopy.
Oh,
Winnie the
all right,
Pooh.
all right, okay. All right.
Okay.
Winnie the Pooh. So I'm going to attempt this. So my dog, he's a fat wiener dog. He's brown. I like to make fun of him sometimes. Eddie, Christopher Robin, please let me get the peanut butter off the jar. I mean, that's as good as I could do.
He's really
But I
Okay,
do
okay,
make fun of
okay.
him
The
with
reason-
the Christopher Robin
Yeah,
voice.
the
Or
reason
at least
why
the
he
Winnie the
reminds
Pooh.
us of Winnie the Pooh is because he's really lazy and he's really like sullen. Like he's got like a very like calming, almost like Eeyore, but not Eeyore because Eeyore isn't constantly looking
Yeah.
for food and honey.
He's
right?
Winnie the Pooh. He's,
Yeah.
he's always searching for food. and,
Always snooping for food.
Pepper, get the fuck off of me, Pepper.
Sounds about right.
he's very like, I don't know. He's non-aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks like Winnie the Pooh, kind of. All right, so
Camera still on track?
that is mine. Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
That is my impression of Winnie the Pooh. It's terrible, but you could take it with what you want. Ollie,
All right.
spin,
Spin to
the
win.
wheel.
You guys are going to have to tell me because I can't see it.
All right, let's tell him. Biggest pet peeve. Oh.
When people tell me to do something, I'm already doing.
Like what?
Like,
Amos.
my sister was horrible about this. Like, I would
Ooh,
literally
sissy.
be doing for chores. And people who have siblings, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. While I was literally in the middle of doing my chores, she would tell me, make sure you do the dishes. I'm like, I'm fucking doing them. I'm doing them right now. Like, don't you hear this clanking?
No, I do. I understand that because I have siblings, and that would be done. Like,
Yeah.
make sure you do that. It's like, yo, I'm fucking doing it. What
Yeah.
do you mean? Like, don't you see this?
Yeah.
It happens with the wife.
This is reality. You don't have to make sure it's actually happening.
Yeah.
I'll have to ask my sister because I feel like I don't actually remember us doing this. It was more like tattling, like, Tim and Doug aren't doing the dishes. Why are they doing it together? Tim should be doing the dishes, unloading, and Doug should be loading.
My guy's calling.
All right, guys, that's it. That's a wrap up today for today's Operation Hustle podcast on ancient Egypt.
Hey.
First episode, you can answer that. Go ahead. Multiple episodes will be about Egypt for the next month. So you can find us on our social media platforms. Trainer Torres has a consultation, so he's walking out. But you can find us on Instagram at absfitness_Brandon Florida. The second account, absfitness_Brandon Florida 2 on Instagram. We have 2 Insta accounts. Abs Fitness Filmhouse on YouTube. Abs Fitness LLC on Facebook. And TikTok is
Abs Fitness Tampa.
Abs Fitness Tampa.
Make sure to check us out, guys.
And wait, Ollie's social media platforms are Trainer_Torres.
That's it.
That's it, guys. It's a wrap.
www.absfitnesstrainer.com. Check us out.
Woo!
Goodbye.
Bye.